Hello again, folks. Today was Peter Lynch's funeral. Who was Peter Lynch, you may ask? Well, until he took his own life in jail, that's right, the guy was in prison, nobody had heard of him. He wasn't famous, he wasn't infamous, he wasn't notorious, he was a patriot, by all accounts, who attended protests against the government and issues that he held close to his heart, and he just voiced his freedom of speech. He knew free speech was his God-given right, and so he used it, and he wasn't a violent guy at all. The guy had no previous convictions for violence, criminality, or anything like that whatsoever. And yet the guy died in jail. Did he deserve that? Of course not. It didn't even deserve jail. And that's because Peter Lynch, like many others, he was put there at the behest of Prime Minister Keir Starmer. You see, when those three little girls were murdered in Southport a few months ago, people were tired about what was going on, what was being kept from them, and the rolling narrative presented to us by the government when things like this happen. And so to voice their displeasure, and some people infiltrated these protests and turned them into riots. Peter Lynch wasn't one of them. And so in various spots across the country, people protested, and the protests sadly turned into riots. And not only were rioters being arrested, but also innocent protesters. I remember being at Downing Street at one of these, and I noticed the police, after they'd finished snatching the rioters from the protests, trying to remember now, they would just grab anyone. And I noticed they were grabbing people sat down, elderly people. It was just bonkers. And I remember looking on and filming this and thinking, what the hell's going on? Why are they just picking absolutely everyone? Then it dawned on me. Keir Starmer had made a speech previously saying, he'd labelled everyone who attended these protests as already the far right, even though he had no idea who these people were or their political affiliations. And he was their judge, jury and executioner. He told them, if you attend, if you take part, if you riot, if you cause trouble, you are far right, you will be arrested, you will go to court, you will go to jail, and that's that. And the guy strong-armed local authorities to make sure that these people were made an example of and fast-tracked to prison sentences, unlike the minority communities who rioted just a few weeks previously. And it's because of stuff like this happening that Keir Starmer had one of his many nicknames, two-tier Keir, because of the two-tier justice system. Another good example of that is recently the Manchester airport thugs who assaulted the Manchester armed police and broke a female copper's nose. They're still on the streets, they're free, they're yet to be charged even, and yet a man from Liverpool, and I'm not saying what the man did was right, but he broke a copper's nose and he's just been handed a 4.5-year sentence. Why? We all know why, don't we? So you see, the same crime committed by two different demographics. One demographic is free, walking the streets, and the other is in jail. Go figure. And so back to the Southport riots and protests. Peter Lynch attended one of these and he was snatched by the police. He shouted at them and he had an offensive placard, apparently. Again, I've seen these placards and they're just a list of people and organisations he believed to be corrupt, hardly a danger to the public. And so he went to jail. He was fast-tracked and sadly he took his own life, couldn't cope with life on the inside. And, a family is now without this fella who died because he was one of Keir Starmer's political prisoners. How sad is that? Britain, 2024, we have an extreme socialist government and people are getting locked up for opinions. In the case of Peter Lynch and many like him, Lucy Connolly, for example, the law was being applied to suit Starmer's political objectives at the end of the day. That's why these people are political prisoners. And Peter Lynch's blood is on Keir Starmer's hands. As far as I'm concerned, I'm sure you'd agree. And there we go. R.I.P. Peter Lynch. You didn't deserve jail. You didn't deserve what happened to you. And Keir Starmer and the judge who jailed him, a judge who didn't take his mental and previous health issues into consideration when handing down a custodial sentence. I mean, they should hang their heads in shame. But of course, socialists, they have no shame, do they? They have no morality or anything like that. Yeah, such a shame. Anyway, there we go. I'm Paz49. Thanks for watching. And until the next time, Roger Trout.